Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the February 20th Town Council meeting. If you can please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, well, so we have a packed house, as you can see, and it's actually everyone is here because they're happy. Usually this happens when people are agitated. So welcome, everyone. And we are going to get into tonight's presentation of You Rock Awards. And so I'm going to go grab the microphone over there. So as you know, we try to do this quarterly, and we had started this initiative during COVID as a way of recognizing members in our community who really go above and beyond to make Rocky Hill so special. And tonight we have a number of folks who were nominated. We have some who are not here, and we will get to them next meeting, possibly. But I would like to start with Adriana Buccieri. And I'm going to ask you to come up. I don't want to embarrass you, but we're super, super proud of you. So I'm going to read a little bit about Adriana. You can come over here. You don't have. So this is Adriana. Come stand with me, sweetheart. So Adriana recently celebrated her 16th birthday, and she's currently a sophomore at Rocky Hill High School. And she is a super smart cookie, very, very ambitious, and has a lot of accomplishments. So she excels academically, and she balances a whole lot of things. And that's why folks from the public actually reached out to me and recommended that you receive an award, because among all of the things that Adriana does, she is on wrestling, she is on lacrosse, she does community service, and she demonstrates an unwavering dedication and a drive to everything that she does. And her love for the community really shines through because she's always participating in so many things, and she's so compassionate. And so, Adriana, I just want you to know that on behalf of the town of Rocky Hill, we are super, super proud of you. So we think you rock, and we just want to acknowledge that, and we thank the folks who recommended you. Okay, so congratulations. Good job. I'm gonna put my...
Thank you.
Thank you. The next person who was nominated is Sergeant Steve Morgan. Okay, so this is like the world's longest nomination, so bear with me. This came from Logan Gavin. Yeah, and the entire Parks and Rec crew, and they were super, super excited to tell me so many things. So, so for many years, Steve has worked closely with the Parks and Rec department in various capacities to help enhance the community, and he volunteers his time constantly. And so, among the many things that Steve does, and we're probably showing you some photos, is National Night Out. So he works very closely with Logan every year to help with National Night Out. He spends countless hours working with the community to make these things possible through emergency services. And since the introduction of National Night Out, the event just continues to grow every year. Sergeant Morgan is also a volunteer coach for recreational soccer. And it says that from preschool aged youth fall soccer team in town, And you guys probably know the recreational youth fall soccer program relies heavily on volunteer coaches like Steve to help engage our players. And so that's a big part of our community. As you know, sports are huge here in Rocky Hill. Community policing liaison for Parks and Rec is another function that Steve does. And he ensures that there is a strong and positive relationship between the police department and the community. He's done that for many, many years, and it's had a really positive impact on the community. Another thing that he does is underwater pictures with Santa. So that was introduced several years ago by the department, and it's a rare encounter, and Steve has always volunteered since the start of the event to make that happen. He is a certified scuba diver, and he has been able to convince Santa to help us every year. So that's super important. We're very thankful for that. And then last is Alice training and awareness. And it's kind of a little bit of a grim topic when we talk about Alice training, but Steve is always there to help introduce the concept to folks in town. And that's been very, very, very nice for people who now feel safe because they understand what they can do in certain situations. So along with all that, Steve is a resident in our community, and you have just made a tremendous impact on everything. So congratulations, and we're so, so proud to have you in the police department. And this is for you.
All right, thank you very
All right,
much.
thank you. All right. Okay.
Not the department camera, we're sorry.
It's not.
It's not this underwater scuba.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you. Okay, moving right along is Captain Doug Clark.
Spelled wrong.
Oh. They forgot the E? That's okay. All right, so Doug it really has an amazing history with the Rocky Hill Fire Department, and he puts together all types of really amazing activities and bowling nights and things to support this really important initiative that back in 2011 he spearheaded. And there is an organization called the American Lung Association, and they do this thing called Right for Air. Fight for air. Okay, Fight for Air climb. And so they climb all of these stairs. And I think last time, were you on Yard Goat Stadium? Did you go one time where you guys, was that part of where?
Yes, yard goats was correct.
Yeah, yeah, because I remember seeing those photos of the stairs. What's really remarkable about this story and Doug's contribution in getting involved in that organization, and I don't mean to be personal or embarrass you in any way, but 5 years ago, Doug himself was, 5 years after joining this organization and helping others and to raise money for this amazing cause, Doug himself was diagnosed with small cell lung cancer. And of course, he began his own fight. And last year, Doug's team, which includes members of Fire Task Force 51, was the #1 producing fire service-based team in the entire United States of America. So congratulations. And they were number 16 nationwide. And he's phenomenal, his work and his dedication, benefiting people. And one of the things that the chief had told me is that actually last year, Doug was in a situation where he ended up saving somebody's life when he was attending church services out in Kensington. And he had observed that a parishioner had passed out, and when Doug got to her, he recognized that she was in full cardiac arrest, and it was because of his life-saving performance of CPR that he revived her, and that person has since made a full recovery. And so there's just so many things that you do for all of us and obviously for others and touching so many lives that we want to recognize you and tell you that you rock. So congratulations. And I'm going to add E to I'll cover it. Thank you.
Can I say one thing?
Yes, of course.
And since I can't help but promote the Lung Association, I'm going to leave some flyers over on the counter over there for the bowling night that we're having on March 23rd at Callahan's Bowlerama. Please consider coming out. It's a great time. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we have one more recipient tonight. I'll call him up, Mr. Michael O'Toole. So Mike is a longtime resident of Rocky Hill who his name was given to me by a number of folks. For those of you who don't know, Mike, you may see him around. He is a gentleman who is always recording and taking videos and photographs of just about every activity that happens in town. Mike's also got incredibly involved in our community television studio, and I don't know if you guys even know that exists, but we have this super cool studio, and it's somewhat nicely funded. It's got new equipment and all through volunteers. Thank you. Great volunteers. And he's actually started a whole bunch of different shows that have brought members of our community together. And what really stands out to me is such a diverse population. And we actually have a growing, by way of example, growing number of Albanian individuals in our community. And Mike's actually started a show with one gentleman, a business owner. And does he actually live in town?
He lives in Berlin, but his Noli shop, he's a barber here in town.
Yeah, that reaches out to the Albanian community, provides them with all kinds of information, actually speaks in the language. And so it's just, he's creating a lot of new spaces and opportunities for folks here to feel welcome. And so we thank you for all of what you do. Totally volunteer. Never ask. We never ask. Now we do ask, but he will just show up. And so that's what community is all about. And so thank you. Thank you on behalf of the entire town. Thank you.
Now, the Albanian show is entirely in Albanian. I do not speak the language, so I actually don't know what the show's about. They're always smiling and laughing, so I keep filming. So thank you.
Thank you. And like I said, we have another woman. Her name is Stephanie Way. She isn't with us tonight, but we'll talk about that next time. So thank you all. Now would be a good time to run. Okay, moving on to public comment. This portion of the meeting is specifically set aside for comments from the public who are asked to limit their comments to 2 minutes. Any person interested in providing public comment remotely should email publicmeetings@rockyhillct.gov prior to 4 o'clock on the day of the meeting, at which time a link will be provided to attend the meeting, as well as instructions on how to participate. And do we have anyone from the public? I see somebody approaching, and then someone else.
Hi, Lori Bosky, 18 Highland Street in Rocky Hill. I just wanted to bring to your attention and ask maybe if you're in your involvement. Back in January, I attended a wonderful workshop sponsored by COST, the Connecticut Council of Small Towns. It was held at the Capitol. And we were spoken to by Stephanie Thomas. We had some information on FOI, information on grants. But the one thing that I thought Rocky Hill could be involved with, and I can't do it myself, so that's why I'm here talking to you guys. This is a crazy election year. We've got early voting, we've got absentee voting, we've got day of voting, We've got a primary in April, we've got a big election in November, and the state is now having a transfer from different voting technology in April to different technology in November. I mean, there's so much going on. There happens to be a program called Becoming a CEO, a civically engaged organization. And I wanted to hand this out to you guys. This is an invitation from the Secretary of the State's office that an entity can become a CEO because you'd be committed to being civically engaged, either through active participation or to broaden the public awareness. And if you take this pledge, it boosts resident and community spirit, showing that we're encouraged and committed to engaging the partnerships between towns and business, foster active participation in the community, and to bring town residents and businesses together regardless of political affiliation. And new residents, a new town, and there's not a lot required, and a lot of this we already do. We would be provided some Civics 101 educational materials that can be shared with town employees, with businesses, community organizations, being allowed to publicize key election dates and deadlines on signage, social media. This information would be provided to us. There's no cost. Encouraging volunteerism and engagement in the community, and to be a source of trusted information. There's going to be a lot of questions from a lot of people about what's going to be happening around election time. So on the back of this form, it shows the many organizations that are currently CEOs. There's not too many towns, so it might be a feather in our cap for Rocky Hill to be part of it. Doesn't have to necessarily be town. It could come Human Services or some other, or some kind of other department in the town. And it's just something that needs to be filled out and emailed to Stephanie Thomas's office. And so I'm offering that, folks, to get started, because April is not that far away. And I am volunteering myself in front of everybody that if anybody needs help to start this and get this moving, I will certainly do so. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hello all. So the respected council members, mayor, and officials of Rocky Hill Township. My name is Mukund Mulkar. I'm in 902 Grey Fox Lane. I represent Hindu Swayam Sevak Sangh, the HSS of Rocky Hill chapter. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the council members, the mayor, and official of the Rocky Hill Township for all the supports that they have provided over the years. As I reflect on the year that has passed, it gives me an immense pleasure and satisfaction about the various activities the HSS has conducted. Following is a quick summary of it. We've started this calendar year of 2023 by hosting a yogathon with multiple yoga events across Hartford County. The same is going on this year as well. In the May, we conducted Teachers Appreciation Day in 4 different towns. In the Hartford County, where 50 plus teachers were felicitated by their students. In July, August, we conducted the Raksha Bandhan in 3 different towns in Hartford County, honoring more than 30 police and fire department. We had one in Rocky Hill as well. During the early November, we conducted a Seva Diwali food drive with the participation of 10 plus towns in Connecticut. The Seva Diwali 2023 project was started in 2018 and nationally coordinated by HSS. In recent years, Seva Diwali has come to symbolize the Hindu American community's collective strength and synergy in providing valuable service to their local communities. We have been expanding nationally year over year. In 2023, the campaign ran in 234 towns across 34 states and collected around more than 500,000 pounds of food, and that got donated to 245 food pantries across 34 states throughout the country. In Connecticut, HSS organized its 6th annual Seva Diwali food collection drive from October 15 to November 17th. And this year we had an amazing partnership with 10 plus organizations across Connecticut. In addition, our volunteers set up food collection centers in their home, ran neighborhood campaigns. Some of our volunteers are school students. They have collected food by standing in front of grocery stores, door-to-door campaign, to spread out the word about this drive. And throughout this drive, students and parents responded very positively. The A total of 11,400 pounds of were then handed over to different food pantries throughout Connecticut. Rocky Hill and surrounding towns donated more than 300 pounds of food to Wethersfield Methodist Church. This will need a fantastic year for our collaboration, and we would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to all volunteers, partnering organizations, Rocky Hill Township official for the Rocky Hill community has always amazingly the community times. And once again, for our support, encouragement to which is giving us this opportunity to make Rocky Hill community more inclusive.
Is this the mic? Hello. My name is Abir Mulkar, and I'm currently in 6th grade in GMS. I've written this essay for a competition, and it has a suggestion for our town. And I'll read the essay. As they say, an individual is raised not only by parents, but by village, in which today's world is your community. So if your community is responsible for your growth in general as a human being, then it is my responsibility to give it back. Now, what is that I can do to give back to my community? There is one idea that came to my mind, and I'm here to suggest the same to our beautiful town. Due to financial differences in society, we have a lot of homeless and hungry people around us. They are dependent on financial help from government and society at large. At the same time, we impact due to climate change in terms of floods, excessive heat, hurricanes, etc. So I was thinking, what is that I could do to help, which might not solve all the problems, however, I can at least start. I would like to request town officials to invite families from our local community to donate and plant native fruit trees in the designated area in the city. Families can donate to honor someone they lost to COVID or any international war due to drug overdose or any public concern. This will help families to feel good, and the fruit from these trees might help feed the local homeless population. This activity is a multi-purpose which would help the community to heal from loss and help homeless folks to use the output from these donations. Thank you.
So I just have to say that we're not allowed to comment or communicate with people during public comment. But I know that on behalf of the entire town council, if we were able to comment, we would certainly say how incredibly proud and grateful we are of that fine young man who came forward and made that presentation. So thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to be heard? Okay. Moving on to appointments and resignations.
None here.
Okay.
No here as well.
Okay.
Or we do? Okay.
Just in.
Just did. So we have a brand new resignation from, what's that? It's an appointment for who left the seat.
No.
Renewing his term on the seat.
We are renewing? Okay. So this is for the Transit District Director Dimple Desai's expiration of the term. And we are going to appoint, so let me read this to you because, just for the record, because I just got this. It's only fair that I read it into the record. So this is from the Greater Hartford Transit District, dated August 21st, to Ray Carpentino, the town manager right there, for Town of Rocky Hill, 761 Old Main Street, Rocky Hill, Connecticut, 06067. It says, Dear Ray, it's regarding expiration, Transit District Director Dimple Desai. According to the records of the Greater Hartford Transit District, the district, in parentheses, the term of appointment for Dimple Desai to the Board of Directors from the Town of Rocky Hill expired on March 21st, 2023. Mr. Desai has represented your town in a highly professional manner and vastly respected by his peers on the board. With that said, I respectfully request that his reappointment be brought before the town council at your earliest convenience. If you could also please advise his office as to council's action when complete, it would certainly be appreciated. As you know, Mr. Desai, being a member of your Planning and Zoning Commission, is extremely knowledgeable and expert in this field. He's an asset to the district, not only as a director, but certainly for his expertise, insightfulness, which is welcome asset to the district board. Thank you again for your attention to this matter. Sincerely yours, Vicky L. Shortland, Executive Director. So, keeping this in mind, I would like to renominate Dimple Desai to the Transit District.
Okay, thank you.
And Madam Mayor, I have a correction brought to my attention by fellow members of my caucus. We do have an appointment for the naming committee. That'll be Sandra Kelly.
Thank you. And do we have a member from the public? Mr. Prakash?
I'm sorry.
Member from the public.
For the naming committee? Remember, we were going to do that. Remember last time we needed 2 people, one from our caucus, one from their caucus.
Yeah, I was sick and I was not available last council meeting, so I'm unaware of this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll do it next meeting.
CPI?
Naming committee.
What about CIP?
It's CPI, right? CIP
So-
is Mimi, Counselor Thoreau.
She was already appointed.
She was already appointed.
So,
We're a hot mess
Ray,
today.
do we need to get together on this, or what is the process for this, for the naming committee?
You need to appoint one public member.
Okay. And that will go to you or the mayor?
It'll go to the mayor, but you can notify me also, so that
Okay.
way we know and we could.
Yeah,
schedule
just because I was not here last time, so I just want to make sure and do it the right way. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the February 5th meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Madam Mayor, before we move
A-
forward,
a- You abstained?
I wasn't here.
Yeah.
Before you move forward, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda.
Are you abstaining?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yes, I should. I abstain from the last.
From the meeting February
meeting on
5th.
February 5th. Thank
Okay.
you. Thanks for the reminder.
Okay,
was
you're gonna
that
make a
again?
motion?
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda. Old business, I'm going to make it A1, update on our FOIA presentation from Dana McGee from our prior meeting. So that'll be before we meet the departments.
Okay.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Subcommittee reports, finance.
The Finance Committee met on February 6th. This was our meeting with our auditing firm, Clifton Larson Allen. They completed our financial audit. Great news, our audit went well. We received an unmodified opinion. They noted that there was no internal control issues related to financial reporting. Just as a point to highlight, our general fund balance is $6.6 million. 1.3 is assigned and 5.3 is unassigned. They also conducted our federal single audit, which was a $6.6 million worth of funds expended for the URSA program, which was COVID-19 for education stabilization, as well as the ARPA funds. Again, they had an unmodified opinion, no issues with internal controls. And they conducted a state single audit, which was $9.4 million tested. They tested the town aid road fund and the tiered pilot. Also an unmodified opinion, no internal control issues. The town of Rocky Hill is continuing to fund our pension plans. Our plans are well-funded compared to our peer groups. Most of our funds were in the range of 80% funded, so that was considered a good place. We went through all of our expenses. Expenses and revenue were in line. Just quickly look at the notes on those. So revenue was on target. Our tax collection was slightly below the 3-year benchmark, but that's a timing item. We did receive our pilot fund, our motor vehicle reimbursement, our Pequot, and our second town aid road installment, as well as our ECS funds. The positive was our expenditures were all within line. You know, the one area that we continue to run over is in our overtime budgets, particularly in the police communication and the highway department. You know, we did note to Mona that we've run over on the police communications department for the last 6 years, so it's a budgeting issue. We just gotta allocate money to that line item versus others. Otherwise, we're in good shape there. We have 2 items on the consent agenda this evening. The first is a change to the private duty rates. And so our private duty rates are currently, for regular duty, $137.75, and a recommendation made to the Finance Committee and on tonight's consent agenda is to raise that to $157.25, and for premium time was $175.50, and will be going to $203. The other consent agenda item is we appointed Clifton Larson Allen to an additional 2 years as our audit firm. The rate for 2024 is $66,560, and 2025 is $69,900. And that concludes the finance report.
Can I ask you a question, Alan? What about that 80% number? Like, has it been higher in the past, the funded pension?
The pension fund tends to vary based upon the way the stock market does. So on strong years where the market's up, we're close, we could be over 100%, and when the market goes down, it fluctuates down.
Yeah, but have we been higher like in 2020 probably, or before that, or?
I don't know statistically, but we do get an actuarially computed number for what we should be contributing to the funds.
And we are doing that?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, and still we are at 80%, even while doing that, because of the market mostly? Is that fair?
That's the variance to it. I mean, I didn't conduct the audit, I'm just telling you why it's there.
Yeah, Mona, do you need to chime?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, as long as we do the 100% of our required contribution, then we can continue. And exactly as Alan said, they'll measure the market as of June 30. And so obviously, that's what the market would look like. You could probably look at that in July, and we'd be at 90%, depending on the value.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking that question is because the budget implications, I guess, Mona. That's why I don't know what the practical implication of that is for us.
For budget purposes,
Yeah.
we should continue what we have this year, which is funding 100% of what the actuarially required distribution should be.
Okay, great, thank you.
Moving on to public safety. Government ops.
Government operations meeting was scheduled for tonight, was canceled. Our next meeting is scheduled for March 18th.
Okay, and now public safety.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Public safety did meet this afternoon at 5:30 in the chambers, and I have a presentation based on that meeting. As it comes down, so we'll start with the police, and keep in mind this is based on one data point because we had only like 1 month of data being reported here. So what you will see differently today is like you're not going to see any charts. So we had, from a call response perspective, we had 2,749 calls for service in the month of January, and that's in line with what we have seen before year over year. In January, like I said, we won't have like a tracker because it's just too early in the year. So we'll eventually have that as we go into like later months in the year. So I'm starting with that. And then if you look at the recruiting, there are 3 active background investigations for certified police officers, which are going on right now. And 1 animal control officer position is unfilled and with 0 applicants. So we did talk this afternoon at the public safety about the importance of that officer to the town and how to mitigate a scenario where we don't have anybody interested in filling that position right now, at least from a pure recruitment perspective. So we had some discussions about that, about regionalization for such a position, but that's just like initial like thoughts like a lot of members had. And but from in terms of like recruiting, I think that's one position which I think we should be taking a look at about what to do in the longer term, I guess. That's how I would put it. There are 2 lieutenants and 2 sergeants who are taking promotional exams tonight, so wish them all the very best for tomorrow, I guess. They were studying today, I was told, but that's great. We put the support services and administrative requests into our report because, as we have seen over the last several years, the requests for FOIA requests and requests otherwise for documents have grown at the PD, and we are trying to keep track of that. And there were 15 cases required of digital redactions and total of 26 hours of labor in January of the month prior this year. Earlier this year, I should say. There are 2 investigations which are top of mind. Mostly, like we talked about, that the public safety was about the Kobe Road shots fired investigation, which is under the detective division, and there are a lot of people who were rightly spooked by this, including myself. And we have talked about this incident and what can we do to mitigate any risk to public safety coming out of these kind of incidents, right? This is from an individual home, and it's from a legal weapon, and everything looks legal in the situation as you were told this afternoon at public safety. So we explored ideas about how to make a situation like this, like I said, where we can mitigate the risk coming out of a situation like this, right? And so a lot of focus was on the mitigation piece, and do we need a town ordinance, or we can use an existing town ordinance or state law? That discussion is to be continued, and I think it's an important discussion. There are a lot of people in town, like I said, like for the last couple of months have brought this up to us at the council and the public safety, and just wanted to have that discussion started. So this is an active investigation. So we don't want to talk about the investigation per se, but we do want to talk about the public policy aspect surrounding incidents like these, which can have broader implications. So moving on, like I said, like I don't have, next slide, please. So I don't have any charts because it's the first month of the year. If you want, this presentation will be available on the town website. So if you want to look at like the numbers for January, you can go and look at the numbers for different categories as the PD has submitted them. So moving on to the next slide, the third slide. This one is from fire, and there were 59 incidents which the fire department reported to. Noteworthy ones, really, they're all noteworthy, but there are like a couple of them which are fire incidents. One in the apartment complex at Forest Park, which was reported to the fire department, and they went in there, and according to Chief Garahy, it was coming out of like the first floor of the apartment building, and it was in control in about 45 minutes. 7 adults and 5 children were housed by the Red Cross following the incident, as they were as the units, housing units were regarded untenable. So that was the fire incident, and then as a lot of you will know here and at home, that our fire department is very much involved in recruiting and hiring and retaining efforts across social media. So there is a whole blitz, if you will, all-out blitz on social media, which Chief and his staff has been involved in to get better efforts, and they go beyond like one-on-one interactions to like social media and other aspects of like community engagement they're involved in. So that was a report from the fair. On the EM side, Chief Gary said that he did tabletop exercises for something which is called Operation Migrant Worker. It's a state EMD exercise which was done recently to take into account the flow of migrants overall nationally and the impacts of that in the state. the town does not have any role in that situation yet, but this was an EMD exercise, emergency management exercise, which the town requires our EMD department, the state requires our EMD department to conduct, or part of, I should say. So that was done, that was reported by Chief Gary. And moving on to RH VAA, Rocky Hill Volunteer Ambulance Service. So there were 117 incidents that were reported. There were like 6.56 minutes of response time, average response time for hot responses, and 9 minutes, 8 seconds for the cold ones. The important part to remember there is the benchmark there is 7 minutes. So anything under that is good. And that comes to around like 90% on-time response. And then if you look at like the general categories, these categories don't generally change. The falls, respiratory, sick person, alarm, those have stayed pretty constant for the last 4 years I've been in public safety, and it remains so. So there was one cardiac arrest and one opioid-related encounter. Moving on to the next slide. As a lot of you know, probably a lot of you don't know, that Aetna is a support service that supports our Rocky Hill Volunteers ambulance service. And they have also, they provide us data every month about their operations. Again, this is first month of data, so not to look at, not a lot to look at like in prior years or like year over year trending wise, but 91% of their calls are on time, and just like the Rocky Hill Volunteers. But I would like to also point out there was a very important discussion this afternoon about how many personnel are enough for a volunteer service, or regardless of the volunteer service, for an ambulance service, I should say, as EMTs staff that service, regardless of it's a volunteer or Aetna, size of that is size of about 20,000, and with a lot of like nursing homes and things like that. So that discussion had some follow-up items in terms of like how many active members do we need to serve the town for the needs we have here for the volunteer ambulance and otherwise for Aetna, right? So that was a big chunk of the conversation in the meeting. Probably I would say take half of it, and there we had some follow-ups on that, like I said. And so next month, I think we'll be, and Madam Mayor here, like Mayor Murata also attended the meeting, so she had some good questions about that. So we'll be following up on that and then reporting back next month. So that was the ambulance, and then the last but not the least, health district, which is the only chart I'm using here because they provided for it, and it does not have a time year component to it essentially. Year over, actually it does, but it's provided by the health service. And if you look at like this line, what you will see is like, you know, those numbers go up and down, but at this point we are at pretty much at the highest level of it. So Charlie Brown, who reports this data to us, reported that norovirus positivity rate is about 14.7%, and that might be one of the reasons like a lot of people are feeling sick around us. And I think this is something which affects people of all ages, and you know, it's just something which we can mitigate through good hygiene, I guess. You know, just using a lot of like, you know, hand washing and things like that. But just to be on the lookout for this, and this is something which I think is on the top of his mind. So, like I said, like this month, like we don't have a lot of like trending data tracking over year, month over month stuff. Because it's just the first month of the year, which we are reporting now in February. So stay tuned for more to come on that stuff. And that's the report, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, senior liaison.
Senior liaison met last meeting in coordinating April 22nd.
Later, April 22nd.
We'll look to move the meeting. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Land acquisition and farmland preservation.
We have, since the last council meeting, we have a meeting next week.
Okay. Liaison to the state rep and the state senator.
Okay, I have a few updates from Representative Wood. With regards to fuel assistance, the General Assembly's voted unanimously last week to authorize an extra $17 million to bolster energy assistance programs and enable thousands of households to receive an extra $410 in aid this winter. The House voted 147 to 0 to approve $13.5 million for the Connecticut Energy Assistance Program and another $3.5 million for Operation Fuel. Moving on to housing, Representative Wood was able to secure $55,000 to be applied to design for additional housing along Willow Road to be managed by the Rock Hill Housing Authority. Between $5 million for the veterans housing and the additional funding available from the state for housing, she continues to help Rock Hill with more affordable options for housing stock. There's currently a 3 to 5 year wait list to get an apartment at the Housing Authority as it stands. Representative Wood is hosting an economic forum at the UConn Business School on February 29th. This event is open to all. And lastly, she has worked with you, Mayor, and our town manager to organize the first annual State of the Town. This will be held on March 7th at the Rock Hill Senior Community Center. And I did not get any update from Senator Lesser. Thank you.
Okay. School liaison.
Yeah, so Madam Mayor, the only update I have on this tonight is about the Harlem Wizards who are visiting the Rocky Hill High School venue on March 15th, and they're going to play the Dream Team, and it's going to be a fun and exciting evening. If you have ever attended that event before, you know what I'm talking about. It's a ton of fun. A lot of kids join, and I would encourage all of you to go to the Facebook page for Education Foundation and buy your tickets now because they sell out pretty quickly. So that's the report. Thank you.
Okay. Capital Improvements Committee.
We're in the process of scheduling a meeting for March 5th. Has that been confirmed?
Yes, I'll confirm it now, yes.
Okay, is that at 5 or 6 p.m.? Are we doing it live or?
Live.
Live.
So 6 p.m.? Okay. Our CIP will be March 5th at 6 p.m.
Okay. Economic Development Subcommittee.
Has not met.
Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda, A and B. A, approval private duty rates, finance.
I'll just make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Oh, that's even better.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to old business, A1, update FOIA from Ms. Dana McGee.
Good evening. Very quickly, and actually I'll start off with a quick review. The last time we discussed FOIA compliance issues, that was February the 5th. We had a series of questions that focused on caucuses and the degree to which caucuses could have meetings amongst themselves, especially if those caucus members were parts of committees. For instance, a 3-person committee, caucus members made up 2 members of that 3-person committee. The question was, if those caucus members wanted to speak with each other, to what extent would that be considered a meeting? I had a series of conversations with, his name is Russell Blair. He has taken over for Tom Hinnick. We hopefully remember Tom Hinnick. He was our last public information and education officer. Mr. Blair was kind enough to not only respond to my questions verbally, but also shared some emails with me and clarified that if we are members of a caucus, FOIA actually places very few limits on what caucus members can discuss. Even if you are members of a 3-person committee and 2 of you make up the quorum for that committee. I hope you remember that form of the question. So his response was, it isn't that FOIA will explicitly limit what you discuss as a caucus. The principle behind a caucus is that they want to allow members of a single political party to be able to have free discussions, to develop strategy, negotiations amongst themselves, et cetera. However, if you are going to conduct substantive business as a 2-person caucus member of this larger committee, you are still engaging in activities that fly in the face of the spirit of FOIA and really aren't aligned with transparency. But I have to be clear, it isn't that FOIA explicitly stops you from having those conversations as members of a caucus. However, you are engaging in activities that aren't, again, aligned with the spirit of FOIA. Does that make sense? It's a bit of a gray area.
Yeah, so the second part of it, is that your opinion or Mr.?
That's Mr. Blair in
Russell
writing.
Blair's opinion? Okay.
That's Mr. Blair in
So
writing.
there's a contradiction in the law.
No, I would call it, as he said over and over again, to be clear, FOIA does not explicitly limit caucus members' ability to have those conversations. However, keep in mind that we are still, if we do that, we are still engaging in an activity that it doesn't exactly align itself with the spirit of FOIA. And that's as far as he was willing to go in writing.
Okay.
So you could do it, but feel guilty about it.
Okay.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Perhaps. And I thank him for being so careful about that clarification and for putting it in writing. Thank you. That's it. Any more questions?
No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to our favorite game, Meet the Departments. And we have Community Development Services.
So good evening. As most of you know, Steve Soplak. I'm the Director of Community Development and Public Works. So tonight I asked, we have 10 full-time employees in our department and 1 part-time, and I've asked all the full-timers to attend tonight, and 7 out of the 10 graciously donated their time to come tonight. So I appreciate them, and you're going to hear from them. And my feeling was, because we're a customer-facing group, I would like you to put a face to the name. Many of these people have probably been to your house if you've done building projects or something of the sort. So community development, what do we do? We're kind of unique in our department, as we have many departments under community development. We have planning, zoning, engineering, wetlands, building. And we're not always the most popular folks because we do code enforcement. So we're not warm and fuzzy. Not that we want to, be that person, but it's to protect you, the resident, to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. And there's many reasons, and I think the building department will get into that a little bit. Some of the other things we do, we maintain and preserve all the town's infrastructure, the publicly owned. And we also provide reports, recommendations, and staffing for numerous commissions. Some are part of the town council, some are others outside, such as Affordable Housing, Fair Rent, Open Space, and the Wetlands Committee, the Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals, the Safety Committee, the in-house Safety Committee, Sustainable CT, Plan Implementation Committee, Land Acquisition and Farmland Preservation, the Capital Improvement Committee. So as I said, who are we? We're a group led by me, and then we have our breakdown. We have the town planner, we have the building official, we have the town engineer, we have environmental specialists. So we're going to hear from many of those tonight. So first up will be planning and zoning, and I present Kim Ritchie.
I think you people know me. I've been here before you multiple times on multiple topics. So what is it that we do? And we are, once again, one of the not exactly liked departments because we do enforcement. We're responsible for administration of the Plan of Conservation and Development, planning and zoning regulations, subdivision regulations. We review and coordinate all land use applications. We do so with Director of Economic Development, now our town manager, Ray Carpentino, as well. We support staff primarily for Planning and Zoning Commission and the Zoning Board of Appeals. However, we have many other commissions under our hats. Plan Implementation Committee, which was a committee that is put forth by the Planning and Zoning Commission. The Affordable Housing Committee, which was newly created through the town ordinance that I brought to you over this past year. Hopefully we can get to appointments maybe at our next meeting. Fair Rent Commission, I've been asked with assisting with the process for the Fair Rent Commission, so I've been working with them and any others as needed. I want to introduce a new employee in our department. He's probably one of the newest employees for the town of Rocky Hill, and I'm probably one of the least newest employees for the town of Rocky Hill.
Experienced, Kim. It's
Experience sounds good. Ben Winter, he is our assistant planner, zoning enforcement officer. He comes with years of experience, last in New Canaan with respect to enforcement, and also has GIS experience, so we hope to morph him into some of that as well. So he's been already winning friends and influencing people here in the town of Rocky Hill with his enforcement ability. So welcome, Ben.
Nice to meet all of you.
Nice to meet you.
So, he has a great sense of humor, too. So, our guiding principles with respect to our department are the general statutes, Chapter 124 and Chapter 126 specifically, dealing with zoning and planning. We also deal with many new public acts, and there are new public acts coming out all the time. There's a new legislative session, and we're already getting notices for proposed public acts that they're going to be looking to go to hearing on, and some of which I find will be very helpful for us, others maybe not so much. But so we're trying to keep abreast of those and informing Planning and Zoning Commission at their meetings of new legislation. We're working on the Plan of Conservation and Development. That's a document that we, by statute, need to review every 10 years. Typically, there is an update involved. Thereafter, we would update zoning regulations, subdivision regulations. The Affordable Housing Plan is a 5-year document that will be updated 2027. And we also came to you last year with a complete streets policy. We need to come back to you with a report on that. So we'll be meeting with Steve Sopelek and Highways to discuss that and come back to you with a report on that. Our department, the two of us, are also involved in enforcing several town codes. We deal with citations. We actually issue fines and have citation books like cops do. And that's under Chapter 5. Chapter 98, blight, is a real popular complaint we receive. And with any of our enforcement things that we deal with in planning and zoning, there's a lot of subjectivity. There's a lot of subjectivity, and we've offered some examples of what may be considered blight. And blight, to me, may not be blight to you, may not be blight to, Councilman Whalen or Town Manager Carpentino. So we try to meet with the property owners first, obviously, to get the goal is compliance, not fines. So we try to work with people by calling them or reaching out to them directly. We also enforce the noise ordinance. Our department, along with the police department, enforces the noise ordinance, and there are some suggestions that I'll be coming to Town Manager Carpentino with for modification to that noise ordinance to simplify it and make it more clear. The flood damage prevention ordinance, Chapter 141, is something through our Planning and Zoning Commission. They get to analyze projects with respect to that, working with Steve Sopelak, our town engineer. Housing standards, that's a real hot topic nowadays, and that's more of a team approach with respect to enforcement. It's a combination of planning and zoning, fire marshal, fire department, building, and health, working together as a team. We do have Chapter 212, which deals with sidewalks, and that we're involved with that ordinance with respect to sidewalk waivers. The Planning and Zoning Commission, under their subdivision regulations or zoning regulations, do have the ability to waive sidewalks, and if they do so, they can create a fund. Under the state statutes, there is a sidewalk fund that can be created to allow for the accumulation of funds where sidewalks may not be needed, and then the engineering department could use some of that money to maybe fill in a gap if needed someplace in town. We also enforce the Chapter 234, the inoperable vehicles ordinance, and there's a picture of an abandoned vehicle. That is, we often get complaints about people having junk cars in their yard, or they've been working on their car and there's no plates, and then we have to go and investigate to see if the vehicles are in fact registered. So those are a few of our enforcement duties and town ordinances that we deal with. We also deal with development processes, whether it be a zoning variance with the Zoning Board of Appeals, special permit processes, which have mandatory public hearings. I know I'm looking at some of our former members, Mayor Murata and Councilman O'Sullivan, on that have served on planning and zoning. So we thank you for that. We meet with the public every day, whether it be through the counter, through telephone calls, through emails. We're also always interfacing with the public with respect to what is required. If I want to do this, how do I make this happen? We deal with developers seeking refinancing or properties being sold with respect to zoning compliance. We inspect construction sites, for example, Kelson Row, erosion sedimentation control measures, compliance with site plans. One of our most amusing, we have pictures of zoning violations with respect to signs. Signs are an interesting thing because you get into freedom of speech issues. So one of our most amusing enforcement issues is chickens, believe it or not. And it's funny, but we do regulate chickens, and we do regulate the number of chickens. We get calls for just about everything in our office. So, but I put that in there kind of as a little bit of levity. Some of our major projects we're dealing with, as I said, the Plan of Conservation and Development. I know that we had some money in the budget this past year for that. That is required to be updated or reviewed every 10 years, followed by a zoning regulation update. Affordable housing, that's another, and I'll be coming to Town Manager Carpentino about appointments to that committee. We're also looking at, we had done several zoning regulation updates to talk about affordable housing, to allow for accessory units complying with new public acts. Working with developers, we've gone so far as to ask developers to supply affordable housing units when there hasn't been a requirement. And you know, the give and take and the negotiating with developers, we're actually getting some affordable units being built in town. We do have our first affordable housing application that came in and did receive approval under Section 830G of the Connecticut State Statutes. That would be built at 125 Henkel Way. They have obtained, I believe, foundation permits for that development already. So, the affordable housing plan must be updated every 5 years. Complete streets, that is something, we're in the infancy stage of that. We have our policy in place. We need to provide an annual report to the council. We'll be working with engineering and highway departments when they discuss their budgets and what streets they're looking to resurface, repave, you know, reclaim, whatever, to see what, if anything, we can do to further the complete streets implementation, and comments on traffic calming, on ADA improvements, walk-bike issues, pedestrian safety. So we'll be meeting with them on that coming up. We were asked to talk about budget issues, and once again, the Plan of Conservation and Development, that's our main priority. That must be completed by June of 2025, and we do have some money in that from this past budget session. Thereafter, we'll be doing a zoning regulation update. With our affordable housing plan, there is a strategy for creating seed money for an affordable housing fund. And there are different ways that that can be done that'll be discussed as the committee is formed. Okay. And then once again, statutory training for our boards and commissions, that's mandatory now. So as commission members are trained, they do submit their certificates, and we do try to provide as many opportunities when we hear about them for our commissions to get some training. And mandatory training on affordable housing, it has to be done. So, and I want to thank Dina for offering on FOI training for some of our boards and commissions too. So, I don't know if you have any questions or want to wait till.
I have a question.
Okay.
There's a huge interest in our town about affordable housing, as you know. When is this committee going to get established? It's been years in the process. Applications have been out.
Actually, last year I was out on a leave for a rather lengthy time. I did send a request to Ray, and I don't know if he's gotten it yet for appointments. We had 10 applicants, and I have been asked to make recommendations for 7, and I've done so. So I'm waiting to find out when that'll be on the agenda.
Is that
So the process for that, is that similar to when the process for the commission?
Commission
So
appointments.
do we now have to create a committee to review those applications?
Well, the committee was theoretically, what Kim had done was to vet the applicant. She made her recommendations, and that was sent. Now it has to go to, I believe, each caucus.
I can send all 10 to you if you'd like.
I don't, yeah, but I think like to streamline it, wouldn't we want to have what we had before where it was just, I think you, Mimi, and who else reviewing commission applications? Mimi, who else reviewed those? Was it just you and Punkage?
That was the innovation, it was just Pankaj and myself.
Yeah. I mean, rather than all of us having to caucus, so, I mean, unless you all want to look at all the applications, but I think like to streamline with a committee makes sense.
Yeah, the only question will be like if, somebody thinks that somebody who's not or yes, worthy of being on the committee. Like, so, I mean, I'm still okay with having one representative of each caucus, but I think it should be all 10, applications you should be looking at. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, I see what
It
you're
should
saying.
not be a rubber stamp. It should be an actual, if we go that route. I mean, I trust Kim and the work she put in there probably, but like, it was a lot of work, I'm sure.
Well,
but
I will give you, I can certainly give Town Manager Carpentino the applications. They were all redacted by the HR department, just so you know. And they were reviewed. I did recommend 7, and I did put my reasoning in a memo to the town manager, and that I would assume would be shared with whomever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
How many are on that committee?
How many on the committee?
7.
5.
7.
7.
Total of 5 commissioners.
And 2 alternates.
2 alternates. So you have a total of 5 recommendations now, right? I'm sorry, 7. You have 7 recommendations out of the 10
Out of the
applicants.
10, yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
I reviewed the applications. I asked Ben, as a total neutral party, to review the applications, and Steve Sobolak as well. So 3 of us reviewed them, and we agreed on 5 of them. So 3 people agreed on 5. So that I thought was pretty good.
No, I'm totally fine. Like, because the mayor suggested having a committee of the council members. That's why I was going in that direction. So if we go in that direction, then me and Mimi looked at all the applications. That's what I was going with, really. So
fine.
if we don't do that, I'm fine with what you guys looked at, if that is the route we take. So
Okay.
there are 2 paths here. So that's all I'm saying. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and I'm just trying to figure out, in terms of process, I don't think we should take it away from the council, because that would be the first time we would have done that, setting a unique precedent, unless you feel, you're happy to go a unique way. But typically we appoint, so we typically do have some conversations about
You
that.
usually appoint, though, the majority and the minority leaders, though,
To take a look.
right? Right?
What do you mean? I mean, when it comes to task force and committees and commissions, those recommendations come from the caucuses, right? And so when we did the task force, that came from caucuses. When we did the commission, that was something new, so we created a committee. Then when we created this, affordable housing, we modeled the process after the commission.
Right.
So arguably, to carry through that process, it should come through each caucus reviewing those applications. And to streamline that rather than all of us reviewing applications, which, I think it just gets difficult.
Yeah, I think I'm all for that. If we just want to do it through the caucus process.
So I can send them to.
So who wants to be on the
Mimi?
caucus?
Yeah, I can do that.
We just volunteered you, Councilor
don't
Thrill.
know
I don't know that you want to do
If you
that.
want to do it, Bill, then two of us can do it, I guess, or maybe we can do it.
Or do you want to report back to Ray? Because we don't have to
Yeah,
officially.
we can figure it out. I think we
But-
can flesh it out.
Can we do that before the end of the week so that we can get moving and make the appointments by next
Somebody let me
meeting?
know. Just-
Yes, yeah, sure.
All right, so the individual caucuses will communicate and the leaders will report to Ray by the end of the week, and then we can get moving and have the appointments by next meeting, hopefully. Well, that's maybe 2 weeks, maybe the following.
Now, is this a commission that's broken down by party affiliation or no? Is
I
it gonna
think
be-
like the commission, what we did, we didn't particularly look at party affiliation. We just tried to work together and reach a goal.
Okay, so it's not a question of, there will be 4 Republicans, 3 Democrats, it's not something like that.
I believe the information's been redacted. so
Th-
you just-
There's been the application did not ask for party
Okay,
affiliation.
okay.
And I think what Bill is getting more at, though, irrespective of party affiliation, do you have 4 picks and we have 3 picks, or vice versa?
And I
right?
believe,
Irrespective.
per the ordinance, I believe the majority party has 4 picks.
Okay.
And the minority party
So
has
that's,
3.
I think, is your question.
Yeah.
But there's
Yeah, but we
no-
don't look at the
Don't
party
care what the
affiliation.
affiliation is.
They don't,
Correct.
they don't
Yeah.
have that
No.
information on there.
Yeah,
Pankaj,
that makes
pretty
sense.
much we agreed on,
Everything. Like we went around one name, I mean, not to get into
Yeah.
technical details, but I think we agreed on everything at the end of
much,
it.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so I'd like to thank Kim and Ben. Ben put together most of that presentation for us. So he's hit the ground running. He's been a great addition for us. So next up, we have the building department, and the building department's led by Mike Violet, who's behind me here, and he'll introduce his staff. One of his staff wasn't able to make it tonight, personal, and 2 of the engineering staff also were not able to make it tonight, personal reasons. So I present Mike Violet.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mike Violet. I'm the chief building official. I'd like to start off introducing my staff. Our team is made up of 3 code officials, myself, Elton Mancura, right here, and Steve Cardis, who unfortunately couldn't make it tonight, and our administrative assistant, Christina Suline, who is also a certified permit technician. I'm a licensed building official. Steve and Elton are licensed assistant building officials. So this allows us to inspect every construction trade. In addition to this license, Steve also has a E1 master electrician license. Elton is a P2 licensed plumber and also holds a S2 license in heating. And I hold a general contractor's license specializing in structural. What the building department does is administer the permitting process of residential and commercial construction projects within the community in conformance with the state adopted building code and the Connecticut general statutes. The code we currently enforce is the 2022 Connecticut State Building Code, which is made up of about 10 different code books. We have a separate code book for plumbing, a separate code book for electrical, and so on and so forth. Wanted to say I feel that we have a really great team, together. We have all the different aspects of construction covered with all our different licenses and certifications. Next slide. Professional development. So this is where we get a lot of our training. We're always training. Codes are changing all the time. So as a licensed inspector, we're required to obtain 30 hours of continuing education credits per year through the state to maintain our licenses. We attend seminars and workshops throughout the year. Code changes. We also belong to the Connecticut Building Association, COA, where we also attend meetings throughout the year. CRG. So in addition to CBOA, I established and host a building official group called Capital Region Group, which state has organized a special workshop for EU credits. Once there at the top, 20 buildings from neighboring town, where we network and just discuss how maybe we handle certain situations in other towns, and code interpretations, and just trying to be consistent on the codes we enforce, how we enforce them, with all the different towns for the contractors and stuff. Our admin, Christina, was recruited for a state-recognized group called Permit Technician Association of Connecticut, PTAC. This group offers specialized training for admins throughout Connecticut, and Christina is currently the vice president. Next slide, please. And a founding member, too, yes. Purpose. So our main objective is to enforce the state-adopted building code to ensure safety, health, and the general welfare of our residents. We assist homeowners, building owners, and contractors through the permitting and inspection process to achieve code compliance with their projects. While enforcing the code and educating the public, we're also trying to build relationships with them to let them know that we're all on the same team, working towards their goal, trying to achieve code compliance. Another part of our job involves responding to 911 emergency calls after hours. Both the fire department and the police department request a building official on site for fires, vehicle-struck buildings, basement flooding, etc., mainly to determine if the structure is safe to occupy. Next slide. So permits and inspections. Permits are required by law for all new construction, alterations, and repairs. The purpose of obtaining a building permit is to ensure that the work is completed safe and code compliant. So the first step of the process is to submit an application. Christina is typically the first person the applicants will converse with. At this time, she answers any questions the applicant might have and informs them of any necessary documents that need to be submitted, or also if any other departments need approvals also. Once a permit application is submitted, the plan review process starts. This is where we all review the construction documents for code compliance. Steve Cardis usually reviews the electrical portion of the plans. Ellen will review the plumbing and heating, and I'll review the structural and means of egress portions. During this process, we might reach out to the applicant with questions about the proposed work, or even set up meetings with architects, engineers, designers to discuss the project. On average, we receive about 150 new applications per month. After the permit is approved, the work can start and inspections are required. Every project has multiple inspections, and typically we perform about 60 to 70 inspections per week. We record the results from each inspection and email the report to the applicant. Once we get through all this inspection and the final inspection, then the permit will be closed. If work is started or without the benefit of a permit, we issue a violation corrective action stating stop and pull a permit. Then you have to perform inspection. Unfortunately, sometimes the walls are closed up, can't see. Work that was, we have to require open up the wall. And that's never fun. Next slide. These are some of the major projects going on. Some have started, some are starting soon, some are proposed, but, we have in row, 11 garages and a house, Sleep Place. It's four new buildings for apartments. 125 Henkel Way, 2 new buildings for apartments. Bel Air, which is apartments, 4 buildings, 2094 Silestein Highway. I believe 13H should be 136 Silestein. That's the building behind Wendy's. I'm not really sure what's going on that, but they proposed to offices. It's a big project. And Fun State H is a trampoline park at Free Water Shape. And the last project going on in the department is our permitting software. Christina has been the lead person on this and has been working with OpenGov on the design of the software over the past year. It's still going. She's been dealing with this with all her regular, at least 30 phone calls a day, delegating permit applicants to the right parts that are important to us. Obviously, the OpenGov permitting software, that has an annual fee that we have to pay every year. Code books, the state is supposed to adopt new codes every 3 years. If they're on schedule, it happens, and when that does, it's the current code, and we have to buy all new books again. And then the training. That's where we get our CEUs. These seminars that we attend and workshops cost money, so we need that for that. And that is it. You have any questions?
Hey, Mike, so now I know where all that noise is coming from every month, from your regional group, and I can swear I can swear I hear a chicken in there somewhere.
Sorry. Yeah, we had Kim.
And that's where all the parking gets taken up once a month, too.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, and congratulations on your state recognition. Thank you. And Christina, you.
I'm going to have Christina pop up here, as we mentioned Christina a lot. She's a relatively new hire, a couple years here, and she's been a tremendous asset for us. So this is Christina Sulane. I just want to make sure she's line defense when you're in for building permit or phone call. So
Thank you.
all right, Mike Dingen was saying that part of the reason have these codes is to protect your welfare. You can't get say there's a fire and you didn't have a permit, you're going to get for that because there's a permit. And a lot of these newer, there's a lot of transactions that the agents and or the buyer, they're getting more savvy, and they're coming in asking to see the files, and they're saying, oh, there's no permit on this, that, and that, and deals are falling through. So I mean, it's not that they're there to make somebody's life miserable. It's the law, it's the code, and it's to protect you, not just, it's not a money-making thing or anything like that, or hassling. It's what we do. So I just want to get that out there also. So last but not least would be engineering, and I'm going to introduce Dave Palmberg. Come on up, Dave. Dave used to be our zoning enforcement officer, but he's moved over to, you probably all knew Bob Alvarado. He retired after 36 years. So Dave moved into Bob's spot in the engineering department. And, he can answer some questions here this evening. So, engineering, who are we? We provide engineering services for all the town departments, boards, commissions, and committees. And we also assist the general public, helping them try to resolve their engineering problems, stuff such as drainage, erosion, sidewalks, wetlands, highways, streets, and lighting. Our purview is the town's right-of-ways and town buildings, town-owned space, whether it be the right-of-ways, buildings, land. We don't really get into the private properties. So many times we get somebody who calls and says, oh, I have this flooding problem in my backyard. It's not our purview. We can offer suggestions, but we don't do the design. We recommend they seek professional help. And when we do that, we don't say, oh, hire XYZ. We don't want to, steer anybody to one company or another. Generally, we say there's names in the phone book, Or if you have a survey, best thing to do is, who did your old survey? See if they're still in business or who has their records, and call them, because it's going to be a little cheaper than using somebody new. So staff, me, I'm the director. Dave Palmberg, the title's now called Environmental Specialist and Land Surveyor. Dave's a licensed surveyor. I'm a licensed engineer. We have Jason Scott. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it tonight. He's a medical thing today. He's engineering training, and he's taking his professional engineering exams. Gene Salvatore, he's our part-time seasonal inspector, so he's off till roughly April when we get rolling on construction season again. Gene's got a wealth of experience as he's retired from the NBC. He was an inspector there. So not only is he great as an inspector, but he has a lot of knowledge. He's worked on a lot of the installations in town over the years. So he sometimes will pull things out of there. Oh, I remember working on that, 1962 or whatever. And he has that knowledge that a lot of us don't. And then our administrative assistant is Lynn Wachowski, and she also, personal thing tonight, she also couldn't make it. All right, so as Mike was talking, continuing ed, unfortunately, which makes no sense to me, there is no state statute for continuing ed for engineers or surveyors, which I feel there should be. But we on our own do our own training. Much of it is through organizations like American Public Works Association, which Dave, Jason and I are all members of. Our local chapter is the New England chapter. We have about 1,000 members, and I am now on the executive board for that. I'm also the chairman of their spring conference, co-chairman of their holiday party, and serve on their finance committee. Dave is a licensed land surveyor. As I said, he used to have his own business before he came to the town, and Dave and I are both members of the Connecticut Association of Land Surveyors, and Dave is a past president of that association. So, we are very involved in our professions. Let's see, next slide. So our guiding documents, unlike, say, the building department, which has things specified, a lot of ours they're code books, but they're not like, say, law, but they're, it's what we go by. So we have the state statutes has some things. We have our own public works manual for design. We are utilizing still the 1975 Rocky Hill Townway Drainage Study, which we're trying to update that. As you know, we have climate change, we'll call it, and lots of flooding that we haven't seen in the past due to that. The Connecticut has the stormwater quality manual that is to be followed on all designs. And they also have the soil erosion and sedimentation control that both were just updated and adopted this year, Dave? This year. Yeah. And then we also have ADA considerations on all our projects, as well as Federal Highway, the Transportation Institute, and other federal guidelines. And then in our town code, we do have some things, the flood prevention ordinance, the drainage improvements, inland wetland, sewers, and sewer disposal, which we don't own. As you know, the MDC has that, but they have some regulations. So if you have a parcel of land, if it's within X feet of their facility, you have to tie in. Otherwise, you can maybe use a septic. We have very little septic in town. Stormwater management and streets and sidewalks are also covered in our town ordinances. So on a day-to-day basis, we do the in-house surveys, designs, plan specifications, cost estimates for our own and administration for just about all our capital improvements projects, unless it's something that's really large, takes up way too much time, or it's just beyond the scope, say a structural thing, which is kind of a specialty. So we don't really get into the bridge design and that kind of, it's very involved in a specialized thing. We do plan reviews, we do reports, recommendations for the boards and commissions, the town manager. We administer the town's MS4 plan. That's the EPA federally mandated Clean Water Act is what that is, and that plan is updated. There's a 5-year, I think it was a 5-year cycle by the state, and they update it every 5 years, and we just have to keep maintaining that. It's an ongoing thing. It's a presentation in itself. We review building permits for compliance with engineering and wetland codes. I talked about the reports for town manager. We perform construction inspection on all town projects, on all new roads, anything that's happening that is either within our current right-of-way or might be our right-of-way in the future. So we provide that inspection. And then all the street excavation permits, we issue those and perform the inspection on that. And as I said, we help the citizens when they have a complaint or, an issue. We try to aid them, offer recommendations. But as I said, it's really, it's private property, and you got to hit that. You got to take care of that yourself. I'm gonna have Dave just explain a little bit about the wetlands position, which he sits on.
Good evening, everybody. As Steve mentioned, I serve as the environmental specialist and land surveyor. That comes with enforcing and overseeing work near the wetlands and in the upland review areas. Also providing technical review of applications and plans in regards to the wetlands. Administrative support to the commission, the Wetlands Commission, and maintaining the records, plans, and permits of all that. Do inspections of the 2 dams in town, Dividend Pond and Rose Hill Detention Pond, and also managing the town's MS4 permit. That's the stormwater management, or the EPA-funded Clean Water Act stormwater permit. And then with everyone else in the office, we investigate complaints that come in from citizens. Additionally, this includes overseeing anything done within the flood zone, floodplain area as well. With the MS4 permit, we coordinate. We have a outside consultant do some investing that's required by our permit, as well as testing at both our Parks garage and the Highway Department garage to make sure we're in compliance with the state standards. Additionally, with things that come up, as we all do, everybody kind of crosses over in our office to help cover or assist each other in whatever it might be. So,
Thanks, Dave. Another big thing we have is the capital project. We administer LoSiP, a lot of alphabet soup here, LoSiP grants that we utilize currently for sidewalk projects. We get a little over $100,000 a year from the state. We prepare and supervise the annual pavement marking program. And as you who've been on the council for a long time, you've seen that price of paint and the labor is like doubled in the last 5 years. It's crazy. And then, of course, our $10 million road referendum, which is starting to wind down. We probably have a couple more years in that. And over that time, we've seen our pavement condition index. It's a scale from 0 to 100. When we started, we were in the 60s, and right now we're 86.5. So we use a consultant to help us with this, and they say it's a tremendous number. They don't see road ratings town-wide in just about any community they deal with. So we should be proud of our roads. Another item we have is the grants. We are continually applying for grants. We've been pretty successful, especially with through CROG and the state's LOTSIP program, a listing of all the grants in the last bunch of years. Cold Spring Road, Woodfield Crossing, you can read them for yourself. We've had quite a few grants that we've applied for and received. We've been rejected a few times, and usually it's for like the same kind of reasons. One of the grants we got was through the state local bridge program, and it was a consultant, of course, who did that. But as you can see here on the cover of the 2016 program is our bridge over on Old Main Street over the Goff Brook. So that was selected by the state for the cover. So I thought that was pretty cool. Also, we were the first in the state to receive ARA, if you recall back in the 2009-10 area. The ARA projects, we were the first community in the state to receive that funding. And also,
Steve, I have a question for you. What does the pending mean on this sidewalks? On the sidewalks, the status is pending. What does that mean?
So we've been told we have the grant. It's just we haven't seen the authorization letter yet. So yeah, it's not official. So what happens is you go through CROG, you make the application, they review, and they recommend X amount of projects. You know, like this go on, I forgot how many millions of dollars it was, and they recommend to the DOT, and then the DOT reviews them all. So we've been reviewed. They said, yeah, you're going to get it, but we still haven't got the commitment to fund letter. So once we get that, we're not doing anything. So, but supposedly we're getting, so Century Hills Drive, we do have one grant. That's a steep grant, and that's for roughly half a sidewalk around Century Hills. The other one we are supposed to be getting through this, that one's called LOTSIP, local, what is it, Local Transportation Capital Improvement Program, I guess is what it stands for. And then same with Glastonbury Ave. They've also told us we finished second and third on the sidewalk portions of this. And we've been recommended, it's with the DOT, they're reviewing, and then we're supposed to get the commitment to fund. It's just, we haven't heard anything. We keep asking, and they keep saying it's at DOT, so.
The check is in the mail?
Yeah. Check is in the mail, yeah. And of course, on the New England Construction Magazine, that was an article they featured. This was a few years ago, 2005, but they featured the town, and that was Cold Spring Road. So,
gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. Other things we do, we have a member from our office represents the town on the CROG Transportation Committee. It's usually me. Backup would be Jason. Jason also represents the town on the CROG's Bike Ped subcommittee. It used to be Dave, so Dave's now the backup. We serve on the in-house safety committee. It's been me and Kim. We're looking to get some new blood in there. We work with the DOT, provide them information when they ask. Because as you know, we have many miles of state roads between West Street, Celestine, Elm, Cromwell Ave. Did I miss any? I think that's it. So when they have a project, we're invited to their meetings, offer our input. We have a lot of utility coordination that's going on. We just received something from CNG on some updates they're doing, or not CNG, Eversource on some updates they're going to be doing. And then mutual aid to other towns. We've had instances where Weathersfield, their engineer was out for an extended period with a surgery or something, so we provided engineering services for them. So, and I'm sure they would do the same for us. Major projects that we have ongoing. As I said, the $10 million referendum. We've done or touched just about every road in town except a few, and just about every parking lot too, with the milling, paving, whatever operations we're doing. So we want to wrap that up. Sidewalks, we have a huge list of sidewalk priorities. Right now it's Elm Street, which is going to go to bid this year. Century Hills, which we hope we're going to bid the first half this year. And then the second half in Glastonbury Ave will be the next on the docket. Drainage projects, Belden Brook, that's what, so we have two Belden Brooks. We have the one through Kelson Row, which we need to figure out funding for. And then the Belden Brook under Belden Lane, you see a picture there, that's that slope is deteriorated, the whole head wall is deteriorated, it's starting to go. The slope is so steep, they've tried paving it, they've tried putting blocks on it, everything just slides off into the stream down below, so not good for the environment either. Our townwide drainage study, we like to do the whole town. I don't know if it's cost prohibitive, so we're looking at doing what's called the drainage area, whatever drains into that particular, so we have 10 different drainage areas in town. We did have an opportunity, it was going to be $8,000 to do, was it 2, Dave? Four drainage areas, and there was state funding for these projects, which was great, and then the state pulled the money, so we kind of got that $8,000 back. So, and then Beach Road Culvert, you'll probably see that in our budget presentation, but we have an issue with a culvert out there, and we trap about a dozen families when the road floods. And then the MS4, as Dave was saying, it's a federal mandated unfunded thing, and there's all kinds of requirements, and one of them is mapping, so we have to update some, and it all has to be electronic, not paper, so we have some updates and some software that we'll need. And then, I know this means nothing to you, the IDDE, that's the Direct Connected pipes, and they require that we disconnect 1% per year. What that is they don't want, say, your roof gutter going into the catch basin directly, although we have that. We'd rather see that than into your storm sewer, sanitary sewer, which is illegal. Yeah, or they'd rather see it go onto grass. So if your gutter now goes onto your driveway, they want you to take it and put it on the grass. That's considered a disconnect. So it's lastly, budgeting. So since 2019, I just used this is a little chart here. I'm sure Councilor Prakash would like this chart. It's numerous services, as you can see, and basically construction costs since COVID began 2019, it's gone up 25%, which is just killing all of us. We need to finish up our paving, and then once we move forward, instead of referendums, we've spoken about this before, we think it's probably about $1 million a year for infrastructure to maintain it. And that would just not be roads, but that would be our drainage, our sidewalk, all the infrastructure in town. And that would be streets, the parking lots, so forth. The routine sidewalk construction programs, as I said, are done with the LoCIP money. And because of its state funds, it's subject to the CHRO regulations, which really limits our contractor pool. So again, why it should just be funded through us so we don't have to follow those regulations. And then the drainage, we had those couple big ones, the Belden Brook, two of them, the one under Belden Lane, Kelson Row, the Townway drainage study, and the Beach Road culvert replacement. And then, of course, the MS4, just it's statutory. We got to keep funding that. Questions? Or did I put you all to sleep?
I have two quick questions. So is there some type of working group between us and Weathersfield to look at ways, well, I guess we're in the study stage of using that federal money on the Silestine Highway?
So that was what they call SS4 grant. That we applied for 2 grants. We got one of them, the SS4 grant, and it was about $700,000. I don't have it in front of me, of which about a quarter of it is ours, and 3/4 is Weathersfield. It's going to go. The study is going to be from Parsonage north to the Hartford town line, and because the bulk of the work is in Weathersfield, they're going to administer the grant. But we're in constant communication, so we really haven't got off the ground yet with it. We got I think it was right around Christmas time, we got the notice of award. So now, again, you have to follow the procedure. You have to wait for the proper documentations, authorizations to get rolling. But yes, we are in constant conversation with the Weathersfield folks. There's a few people up there. I think it's a brand new person. I think she's like a grant administrator. We're not sure what exactly her title is. And then Derek, who's a town engineer. So we're working with them.
And then does the MDC ever collaborate with municipalities to do these townwide drainage studies?
No. They work with us on paving. So every year we meet with the MDC regarding what our upcoming plans are for the next couple of years for paving so they can get out ahead of it, do any repairs or that they need. They're very good about that. But as in townwide drainage, because they're sanitary sewer.
Yeah.
And their water, so they really don't get into that.
But some of the flooding that we've seen, I think, has been somehow related to them on the Celestine, or no? Was that near the hotel?
No.
When that little brook and
No,
We
where we've
had
had issues is
that meeting.
backup with sewage.
Yeah, if it's combined, yes, but we had
Yes.
that meeting with them right after that flooding on Silestine, and there was no connection between their system and the
Yeah.
flooding that occurred.
Yeah, see, once upon a time, the sewage and stormwater went into the same pipe, all went to the same place, got treated, which is very expensive, treating what is, in theory, clean water from the rain. So and you can't build systems like that anymore. So they call them a CSO, I think it is, combined sewer overflow. Yeah, combined sewer overflow. So and they're separating them all around the country. So.
Okay.
Question about the sidewalks on state roads.
Yep.
Does the state pay for that?
No.
Or is it all grant? State
State doesn't really build sidewalks. So any sidewalks in the state right away is funded by the town or a grant. So Elm Street, when we do that, that's a LOTSIP grant through the state.
Is it a full grant for the sidewalks, or is it
Yes.
town partial?
Yep, nope. We don't have a match on that, which is nice.
Good, thanks.
All right, thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And then we're going to move to old business B. Meet the department facility. You want to take a break?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Not yet.
Good night.
Okay, my turn. I got a game to watch it. It's on now.
Hurry up, Phil.
5 minutes.
Tape delay.
Description of operations for facilities and custodial department. My name is Phil Sear, Facilities Director for Town of Rocky Hill. The responsibilities of the position include managing 2 separate budgets. Facilities budget for $1 million, over $1 million. Custodial budget $507,000. We build. Me, but I take care of the building and managing capital improvement projects, planning and managing building improvements, planning and managing building repair projects, manage maintenance programs such as the work order system for day-to-day operations, managing preventive maintenance system, managing energy management system, performing office administrative tasks for the day-to-day operations of the department. My staff consists of, well, myself, HVAC mechanic, licensed HVAC mechanic, Steve Parent, licensed electrical mechanic, Dennis Pava, general craftsperson, carpenter, Jim Vincetti, who's not here tonight, head custodian, Jamie Katowski. I have 5 full-time custodians, Billy Joe Ortiz, Nick Molino, Chris Fenner, Rashid Jalili, and Gail Soucier. 3 part-time custodians, John Henley, Chuck Crane, and Sean Mullins.
Hey, Phil. Phil, over here.
Hi.
Can you have your people come up? Because most of the council can't see them.
Sorry, guys.
I heard that.
So they can see the set faces. Could you just reintroduce them, please?
Thank you, Ray.
Phil, could you reintroduce them? Because I couldn't see them.
Yes, okay, no problem. So, HVAC mechanic, Steve Parent.
Nice.
Electrical mechanic, Dennis Pava. The general craftsperson is not here tonight, Jim Vincetti. Head custodian, James Katowski. 5 full-time custodians, not all of them are here. 3 of them are here. Or 2 of them are here. Billy Joe Ortiz, Nick Molino, Chris Fenner, Rashid Jalili, and Gail Soucier. And then, of course, 3 part-timers who are not here. They're doing their thing right now. John Henley, Chuck Crane, and Sean Mullins. The Custodial Service Division is responsible for cleaning and disinfecting town buildings, which include, but not limited to, Town Hall, Senior Community Center, Library, Police Department, Kennedy House, Parks Garage, Highway Garage, ferry landing bathrooms, providing supplies for the cleaning of the firehouses, Fire Museum, Academy Hall, Elmridge Pool House. Custodial services can include assisting the Facilities Department with a number of light maintenance repairs and some project work. Custodial tasks include stocking of supplies for on and off campus buildings, cleaning interior, exterior windows, being done by staff internally at a savings of $3,000 a year. That's external windows. So 4 years ago, we bought a component that takes the minerals, it takes the substance or minerals out of the water to keep it from drying in place on the window spots. So because of that, you don't need any chemicals. So totally green. The water circulates through brush, so it's not powered wash. We're not wasting water. And all the water that comes down just falls to the ground. Paid $2,500 for it. It's paid for itself in the first year, plus $3,000 a year for the past 4 years. So it was a good tool. Jamie Kotowski helped me pick that out, and it's the staff that goes around. And they do not just the campus buildings, but the firehouses and town garage, Parks Garage. They also do trash and recycling pickups. Daily cleaning including COVID wipe downs. We still do that. And disinfectant spraying. In the past, this was only done during flu season, but is now done year round because of COVID. These tasks include wipe downs and disinfectant of counters, walls, doors, bathrooms, fountains, and the touch points of railings, but it's really the touch points of walls, doors, and such. Cleans offices, staircases, lobbies, hallways, activities, and conference rooms. Custodial staff's task continued washing, stripping, and waxing floors as needed, carpet care, snow removal of the campus. This includes 35,960 square feet of sidewalk and entrances. Daily pickup and delivery such as mail, copy paper, courier duties for council and committee meeting packets, gym floor, monthly checks of fire extinguishers, assist the lunching program for the seniors, which is huge. What a program. Gina does a great job of filling the place up, and our staff. It was supposed to be one position for about 4 hours. It's dragged in 2 positions for another 2 hours, plus a third on the big activities and luncheons. Support Human Services request for picking up and delivering donated food through the food shelter. Works closely with director, staff on special request setups for programs and events. This includes coordinating with the Town Hall, Parks and Recreation, Senior Center, and Board of Education for setting up events, meetings during business hours, nights, or weekends. They attend necessary safety training, such as asbestos awareness training, bloodborne pathogen, material safety data, KERMA, and ALICE training. There's much more that the custodial teams do to service their customers, the town employees. They, with the facilities only having 3 mechanics, there's times where you need 2 hands, 2 extra hands, 3, 4 extra hands. Facilities help, the custodians help fill that void. Now to the facilities division. The facilities division consists of 3 trades mechanics that I've introduced: HVAC, electrical, general crafts mechanic, carpenter that provides service for all town buildings and its occupants. There are 19 building structures that are operated and maintained by the facilities department as follows: Town Hall, built in 2001. Senior Center, Community Center, newly built in 2021. Police Department, the building was the Town Hall before 2001, built in 1953 with an addition put on it in 1969 and renovated in phases 2005 and 2006. Library originally built the original section 1967 and an addition in 1978. The Academy Hall built in 1803. Fire Museum built in, I got something that's in the way there and I can't see it. I think it's in the 1920s. Kennedy House built in 1918 and renovated in the 2000s. Firehouse 1 built in 1962. Firehouse 2, built in 1958 and renovated with an addition in 1998. Firehouse 3, built in 1980. We have done quite a bit of work at Firehouse 3. We replaced the roof in the past 3 years in sections. We also redid 3 of the 4 mechanical systems through the ARP money, which we completed this past fall. Town garage, lower bays, built in 1965, high bays built in 1995, salt shed built in 1989. Parks garage built in 1978. We just put a new roof on that building, painted doors, new windows. Park storage shed built in 1978. Elm Ridge Pool Building built in 1961. It's an old building for a pool building. Maxwell Park Electrical Service Storage Building built in 2002. Amphitheater built in 2005. We just renovated lighting there to LED this past summer. Ferry Park Bathroom Building built in 2015. Channel 14 building built in 1800, and I was kind of surprised. It's actually the front part of the building that's the original building. The back building was built, it's block construction, but it was built for an ambulance bay, I believe, at the time when it passed from police department to ambulance as the years went on. Now a studio for Channel 14. And then coming soon, the barn at the town's community farm. The facilities division, we have 19 building structures, total of 159,000 square feet. Industry standards considers 50,000 square feet per 8 hours per person shift. So that's 3 positions, which we do have. Not included in the square footage total. The facilities division is responsible for maintaining the electrical infrastructures of all our parks and ball fields, in addition to the water and sewer services to the park structures that have them. And also maintaining the streetscape sidewalk lighting on Church Street and the new sidewalk fixtures on both sides of the Southeastern Highway, which is more than 80 fixtures in all. So that's not included with the 159,000. Other facilities task is monitor utility usages through Brightly Energy Manager program system. I picked this one. It's the streetlights. Councilman Emanuel, I know you mentioned or asked about power usage from the old 70 watt or 250 watt to 70 watt high pressure sodium to LED. So if you look, I went as far back as 16 through 17. It still has the old lamps. 18 looks. I wasn't part of the project, but it looks like it started there, continued through 19, finished, and then from 20 to 23. That's what you see is the consistent usage since. It's a great graph, good program to have. Facilities tasks continued. Planned maintenance through our facilities do preventive maintenance PM program. It generated 1,104 PM work orders this past year. There were 893 total routine work orders completed this past year. Those are customer driven. There's people in each department that have the ability to send in work orders. So it could be, a stain on the rug. It can be, a ceiling pad that's off, or a light that's out, or, plumbing issues and what have you. We also perform regular routine filter and belt changes in all HVAC equipment in all buildings quarterly. That's Steve, our HVAC mechanic. We also perform boiler maintenance, cleaning in all our buildings yearly. Perform coil cleaning, maintenance to all AC package units and split systems, and necessary repair of breakdowns and replacements on our mechanical systems. Perform plumbing and draining repairs. We maintain fire systems, sprinkler systems, fire extinguisher maintenance systems, security systems, keys and doors hardware, key metric systems, fob entry systems, maintain and repair a total of 22 overhead doors at our firehouses, 11 overhead doors at the town garage, 3 overhead doors at the salt shed, 5 overhead doors at the parking garage, and 3 overhead doors at the police department. This is kind of a important bullet point because of, a lot of these doors are for our, the firehouses where if they break, they can't, lift and they can't get out. So we take special attention to keeping those doors in top shape. Perform carpentry, roof repairs, masonry maintenance, perform furniture repairs, cubicle builds, and office renovations in-house, so we don't have to pay out private, outside contractors to do that work. Maintain 5 elevators, 5 generator sets. Supports the IT department with cabling runs for data installs. Maintains hazardous material compliances in yearly safety training renewals. The building assessments also drives numerous projects that need to be project managed, which are categorized and prioritized in the facilities building improvement plan, building repair plan, and the building maintenance plan. Performs town building assessments once a year using the facilities maintenance engineering reports. The facilities condition assessment, this is a cover sheet of Firehouse 1. They're in booklet form and data form. So come fall, I start building my budget by going around each building, looking at the needs, or actually the components that are listed in each booklet. It shows everything from slab to ceiling, all the mechanicals inside, wall to wall. It's my Bible. That's what I use, to take with me into these buildings and check off. There's a building systems that need to be, changed out or repaired or what have you. So it's a vital tool. It actually has a 20-year forecast of what, based on industry standards, longevity of components in the building to look at. You don't necessarily have to change them out right then and there, but it's to look at, review, to see if you can, push it down to the next year or 2 years or 3 years. And then much more. If it wasn't for the team that I have behind me, this doesn't get done. They're phenomenal. Little story, when COVID hit, of course, that's when our community center started to be built. So construction didn't stop. We all closed. Everybody went home. So there was, even myself, but that lasted about 2 days, 3 days. I just was being called from my own house to go to here, to go to there, so I just came into work every day. But a lot of that was because of the construction going on. So when everybody left, the community center, old, was still packed. The closets were all packed. All their, the tables and chairs were still there. Well, they had to be removed because the project was starting to want to take over that building for their own, satellite office and space to work in. So during that period, I had, and Jamie was helpful with setting up a schedule for the guys to come in to pack the closets, at 4-hour intervals each day to get it all done. And then same with the facilities crew. It was only 2 at the time. It was March when we started, when people had to stay home. It was still heating season, so we still had to maintain buildings. So we scheduled them to alternate each day, so they're not here, all day. Those are one of the things that people don't see that we do, and I like to, recognize them that because they were, it was stressful at the time, but with them, minimized it. It was, they did a very good job. Very proud of those people. Facilities project items. So I'm not going to go through all of this. I put in parentheses, done it in-house on quite a few of these. The town garage, the 65 bays, we repaired beam footing. Being that old, the beams on the slab, on the metal slab, were rusting away, so we had to repair those before we did any. We painted inside the shell and the outside, but town garage, left-hand base, cleaning, painting walls and ceilings. Firehouse 3 tower, door replacement, Firehouse 1 brick repair, and we sealed the entire building. We did that for building 3, Firehouse 3. What was happening is the water was getting behind the brick, the mortar. Wintertime freeze would pop the bricks, so we had pop the bricks kind of all over the building. We repaired it and sealed it, so hopefully we nipped it in the bud. But that's the type of stuff that we're always looking at and trying to do to keep the upkeep of the building, the upkeep of past taxpayers' investments, right? Going forward, I mean, their buildings are not going to be demolished; they're going to continue being used. So we have to continue that care. Fire museum chimney brick repair. Firehouse 3, that start of the HVAC mechanical equipment replacement through ARP funding. The HVAC mechanic does a daily automation, so we were able to bring it up on computer, and we could see all our data from in our buildings as far as temperatures and such. And when you see something that's not right, then you have to go there right away. Install a new tank. Replace chiller pumps at the police department. Like to get into, wired and installed time clocks on bathroom exhaust fans throughout town buildings. We did an assessment overnight, so we would come in after all our equipment shuts off through automation, and we just go and listen and hear, listen and see. So when we went in these buildings, what we noticed was exhaust fans, bathroom exhaust fans, not necessarily kitchen, but mostly bathroom, still running. Well, they were running 24/7. So he says, well, that's one way to cut usage, to help eliminate usage or waste. So instead of tying it into our automation system, which would have been very expensive, we just put simple time clocks in, and all the bathroom exhaust fans that we had in the buildings. Dennis is really the one that installed those for us, and that's an in-house project that that we do or could do. Another one is a town hall computer room rack system. We support them with portable generators for the town hall shutdown of utility power and monitor it. So during the construction, there was several times where we had to take the power down in the building and generator. So that means the building was just totally off black. But we still have an IT room with equipment that needs to still talk to PD and the rest of the world. So we pulled in a generator from PD. They have a military-style generator trailer, pulled it over, and we ran cords and such. Well, we put a panel on it, and we put plugs, off the panel, and then we fed the racks with the cords to enable the construction people to shut the power safely, to do the work. So kudos to in his team effort. It's not just the electrician; it was the HVAC and custodians helping out. Wired and installed commercial fans in a highway garage, speed control switches. Wired and installed outlets for relocation of power washer at highway garage, again in-house. We wired an ELC center. We wired 3 of them in the past 2-3 years. One up here, small, one downstairs when the emergency manager moved from up here to downstairs. And then we took the fire marshals out of Firehouse 3, placed them down here, and then now the emergency managed person sits in one of the offices, and we converted the one of the training rooms into an ELC center. So again, done in-house. Let me see. And then our carpenter slash, actually, he's our locksmith, licensed locksmith. So the most used component in a building is a door. So, it being used 100 times a day, his experience comes very useful because it's not just lock sets, but it's the door itself, the crash bars and the closers, and he's a talented person, and it was money very well spent hiring that position. Besides other things that he does, so he does carpeting. We renovated 2 rooms downstairs for human services for their sessions. He's in the process of doing the circulation offices in the library. Total renovation, paint, ceiling, floors, and doing it in-house. Those are examples. In conclusion, and this is a metaphor because I've been an electrician for over 45 years, the team is like electrical wiring behind walls. It is unseen, but the end result is providing power. In our case, it's the best customer service to be able to give the best customer service to the occupants of our buildings, who can then serve their customers, which is actually the taxpayer. So we don't go face to face with the taxpayer. We support people that do, and that's it. The end. Any questions?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I'm at the Community Senior Center probably 4 or 5 times a week, and the custodial staff are amazing. I mean, they keep the building, beautifully. They work with staff and volunteers to serve meals, sometimes anywhere from 35 to 125 people. And they do interact with the public because we see them there. And I just want them to know that the people that use the facility very much appreciate their efforts. And I know most of them because I see them
Yeah.
all the time.
Oh, thank
and
you.
They are awesome.
They are. They are awesome. I'm pretty lucky as a director. I have a great team.
I think it's wonderful. I don't think I realized how much work is done by your department. So it's very eye-opening. And I have to say, there's nowhere on campus I've been where I've thought anything looked old or used or dirty or anything. So that's a huge testament to all of your hard work. So thank you for that.
So again, it's
and
a team.
I think it's super cool that you have these green initiatives with that exterior window cleaning, and those are things like I think the public, would love to know. So thank you for sharing.
Hey, Phil, can I ask one question on that to piggyback? That window cleaning thing, does the Board of Ed have that same machine, or do you share the machine?
They're absolutely can grab it. I think Ron did purchase one.
Okay.
But I don't know. You'd have to really check with him. He hasn't borrowed it. I believe he has. both. Yeah, so I think yes.
It just seems such a cost savings that if we're not sharing that with another department.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know.
Great move.
We
Yeah.
have a good, reputation, you know, with Ron. We share, you know, all our equipment. So, you know, from lifts to ladders to whatever.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you for the opportunity to
Thank
do
you.
this for the guys. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Does anyone need a stretch break now, 2.5 hours into our council meeting? Hearing nobody? Nobody? Anybody?
I'm good.
Okay.
Could I recommend that we, you amend the agenda to put the Health Charlie presentation up next?
Yeah. Do you want to do that?
Is he here or is he doing remote?
He's virtual.
He's zooming in.
Yeah.
Sure. I'll make a motion to move the Central Connecticut Health District presentation as our next agenda item.
A second?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Hi, Charlie.
Hello, everyone. It's going to be hard to follow those presentations, but I'll do my best. And thank you for allowing me to present remotely today. I'm practicing good public health. I'm feeling a little under the weather, or else I would be right there in the council chamber with everyone. So let me just share my screen here. Okay, hang on. Okay. So, our presentation for our update for our member towns. Once again, my name is Charles Brown. I'm the Director of Health for the Central Connecticut Health District. Our staff, who you see here, work very hard to prevent, promote, and protect the health status of all of our communities. Some general information about CCHD. We're the local health department that serves the town of Berlin, Rocky Hill, Wethersfield, and Newington, serving a combined population of about 98, just a little over 98,000. We were founded in 1996. We've had 28 years of providing a broad range of public health services to our member towns. We're one of 20 regional public health departments in Connecticut. You can see us there right in the middle, that number 3. And we work very hard to assure that we can provide those efficient and effective public health services to all the 4 towns that we serve. General information, we actually have 2 offices now in Rocky Hill. Our central office, which is at 2080 Silestein Highway. And then now we have a clinical office in Rocky Hill at 506 Cromwell Ave. We have 15 full-time employees, including several grant-funded positions, that we have now from a variety of grants that I'll get into a little bit as we go along. Over 50 active professional and lay volunteers that assist us with a variety of activities throughout the year. We have oversight from a 14-member Board of Health made up of board members appointed by the member towns. I'd like to recognize our board chairman, who's actually in the audience today, former town manager Barbara Gilbert is there in person. We also have Judy Sartucci and Marty Stiglick from Rocky Hill that serve on our board. We have 3 board members from Berlin, 4 from Newington, 3 from Rocky Hill, and then 3 from Wethersfield. So we just recently got our audit finished from 22-23. We have an audit done every year, and our audit came back with clear this past year, showing a total revenue of just over $1.7 million. Of that, our town contribution is a little bit over $690,000. Program revenue from items like licensing our food service establishments, salons, motels, other things, our flu clinics that we provide came in at about just almost $310,000. And for the first time in a long time, our grants actually outweighed all the revenue that we have at just almost $750,000. The majority of that really came from the COVID grants that are now starting to kind of work their way out. We also had some interest income, a little over $6,000. Our expenditures, total expenditures, a little under 1.7 million. The majority of that expenditures is once again our salaries and employee benefits. As I've mentioned many times before, we don't make widgets. The things that we do really come from the professional services of our staff, and that's where the majority of our expenditures go. Almost just over 69,000 in contractual services, and then our program and operating expenditures at about $316,000. So what is the purpose of a public health agency? Generally, we work to do that: prevent, promote, and protect. So we prevent epidemics and spread of disease, we protect against environmental hazards, prevent injuries, promote and encourage healthy behaviors. We also respond to disasters and assist our communities in the recovery from those, and we assure the quality and accessibility of health services. I'd really like to be able to go up to the pharmacy and ask for an ounce of prevention, but unfortunately we can't do that. We have to work hard at that every single day. So just to get a little contrast between something that you know and something that you might not understand completely, the difference between healthcare and public health, they're very similar but different. So healthcare, their primary focus is really on the individual. They look at the intervention that they put as far as diagnosis and treatment of somebody who's ill. They use the process of management of patient care to get them the appropriate medication or treatment to be able to actually bring them back to that individual to health. Public health is similar to that, but our primary focus is the population as a whole. Our interventions really are dealing with assessment, policy development, and then assurance that those policies are carried out. The process that we use really gets into systems management. So looking at the environment and how human behavior affects health. And our outcome really is to assure that there's a healthy community. So wanted to mention this, the 10 essential services of public health. This is what local health departments in the state of Connecticut are statutorily mandated to actually provide. This changed here in the past couple of years where back when it was established, research was at the center of everything that we do. But now the shift has really been brought over to have equity be at the center of the things that we do, to assure that the assessment, policy, development, and assurance that you see around the outside of the wheel really does get rooted in equity to make sure that everyone can take advantage of the things that we provide. One of the biggest things I'd like to point out that's kind of changed in the past couple of years is how we prevent epidemics and the spread of disease. We have an epidemiologist that's on staff. Our local epidemiologist, Christine Gasick, provides a ton of information using data available to us from the Department of Public Health and a variety of sources. We use this information to provide a weekly epidemiologist report for our town managers, for superintendents, and other town leaders. And we also post this information on our website. And as you can see, we're not just looking exactly what's going on right now, but looking at the trends of data, really what is going on the past 5 years and is now different, than what we should expect. So having an epidemiologist and the ability to really look at data has really made our department so much better. So as I mentioned, that data surveillance and epi function really is, an important thing to really prevent the spread of disease, not just respiratory viruses, but sexually transmitted infections, opioids, and even mental health outcomes. We also follow up on foodborne illness, tick-borne illness, and our public health nurse and our epidemiologists that are both grant funded at this point have been working with all of our school nurse supervisors over our 4 towns to really define and standardize what's considered to be an outbreak within the school setting. This is something that was variable through the 4 towns, and our folks really have worked with them to really try to standardize that approach. In addition to that, working with the regional and statewide local epidemiologists on how to share lessons learned and best practices so that everybody raises that level of service to our communities. Our environmental health division is really the foundation and the rock that really supports the health department. They've done over 1,500 food service, temporary events, septic, pool, motel, hotel, salon inspections annually. In addition to that, they do plan reviews, permits, and inspections for septic systems and water supply wells. And then in 2022, just alone, they responded to over 220 complaints. And that caused them to work with the state's attorney's office, the Connecticut Department of Public Health, and local social services to address really complex issues, especially when we deal with things like housing or hoarding conditions. Our community health division, it was interesting hearing the presentations earlier that we were talking about planning and building and all of these things, and to really think back on some of the things that our community health division has done to help support that within our towns. One thing that we do every year is Public Health Week, which is the first full week in April. So we actually do a lot of activities during that time to try to really engage the community. And through our preventive health block grant, really its focus was on chronic disease reduction. So we look at prevention through policy changes, what we call health in all policies, that in every policy that you enact, there's a health component in that. So one of the things that we've done several years ago that's really starting to bear fruit now was we had a communal learning conference to talk about complete streets. And really that led to a lot of the planning departments and a lot of the town departments, both in Wethersfield, Rocky Hill, and the other towns, to really engage with the bike walk groups within Wethersfield and Rocky Hill. And now we have a complete streets policy not only in Rocky Hill, but in Wethersfield as well. And that helps support some of that grant funding that they're looking at for the Silas Deane Highway. So we're very proud of being the table to bring folks together to talk about these types of policies and how they can make communities healthier. In addition, we do prevention through health promotion. So our 4-town walking competition, this Walk This May, happens every May. And we're looking forward to all of the towns really competing again and getting active as the weather gets warmer. In addition to that, we provide bike repair stations to all 4 of our towns, bike racks, and other equipment to be able to allow our residents to be more active within their community. Our vaccination program, many of you are aware that we do flu clinics every October, and the 3 main goals that we do is really primarily to prevent influenza morbidity and mortality. But it's also something that we use to practice for a public health emergency. So all of the practice that we got in mass vaccinations and doing these big clinics in October really allowed us to do things during COVID that a lot of other communities struggled with. We didn't have to struggle because we had tested our plans and continued to refine them. We've also brought in the homebound and really have made sure that we're serving the most vulnerable within our communities through this type of effort. In addition, it does provide some revenue for the agency that isn't restricted, so that we can use that for health programs as they are needed. We've done COVID vaccination clinics. During COVID, we did 38 clinics all told, and homebound vaccinations on top of that. Our community health division also oversees the Putting on Airs project, which has an asthma educator and environmental specialist that goes in to a home of children primarily that have asthma to look for triggers. They did this in home visits, but they've actually done this virtually during the pandemic. This is very important for asthma education and management, because a lot of patients really don't get a lot of time to spend with their primary care physician on their asthma management plan. Clinical Health Services is the newest division that we've had. It's only a couple years old, but they do provide immunizations in the clinic setting, both for influenza, for children, adult, and the senior high dose. We gave out a lot of senior high dose the past couple years. They help with the mass vaccination clinics, but they also have those appointments in-house. We're looking at possibly doing COVID vaccinations again in the fall. That's depending upon really what's going to be going on at that time and the information that we receive. We also are planning on doing community CT Whiz educational classes. So CT Whiz is the immunization registry for the state of Connecticut. And if you've gotten a shot at a doctor's office, it's a requirement that they actually put that information into CT Whiz. And our clinical health services folks are teaching people, starting with seniors, on how to access that information to assure that they can have the best outcomes that they can. In addition, testing and screenings, we've got the ability to do rapid PCR COVID testing. We've also expanded into hepatitis C antibody screenings. This is as a result of our opioid work, where our recovery coach is engaging people that may have, shared needles, things of that nature, that put them at risk for hepatitis C. So we have the ability to do antibody screenings for hepatitis C and refer to medical providers where it's necessary. Blood pressure screening is also something on the horizon that we're going to be starting to doing within the community. Our response to the opioid crisis, as you know, CHCHD has really been a convener of those local response agencies in our towns. We currently do have work groups that address prevention, response, and recovery. I'm happy to report that we've been awarded an additional grant to work regionally with other local health departments to use data to assist people that are suffering from addiction and their families. This grant is called the Overdose Data to Action Grant, and it's a federal grant that was given to Hartford and surrounding communities as a regional effort to be able to standardize our approach to this very difficult issue. So as we prepare for the future, I just want to make a couple of notes administratively. In January, I'm very proud that our board adopted a brand new strategic plan. This was an effort that took a little while to get into place, but we're very excited as an agency that we have a strategic plan that's going to carry us out into 2028. Part of that was a community health assessment. And we're looking to be able to engage our partners, i.e. the town manager and the towns, in community health improvement planning. So that community engagement aspect of the things that we do, that health and all policies, is really something that you're going to see here in action in the coming year. My last words, as always, are thank you. We'd like to thank our member towns and the public for their continued support of local public health. And I stand ready to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Charlie. Do you have an overdose prevention and Narcan training coming up here downstairs?
Yes, we do. So actually, we have it's coming up. I have to look at the date, but it is full up. So we had 40 slots, and we actually have a waiting list. So if folks are interested in Narcan training, I would recommend that they go to our website. And they can get on the waiting list. We plan to do more of these. We have a good relationship with folks in Rocky Hill and with our regional behavioral health agency to be able to do these types of training. So if there is a need, and there obviously was a big response to this Narcan training, we will be doing that again in the future.
Okay. And then you have that 2-day conference coming up. Is it in Cromwell? I don't remember where it is. The 2-day conference coming up for families to talk about. I think you're going to show the movie with for the teens and.
Oh, wait a second. So that's not something the CCHD.
Oh, you're not involved in that. Okay.
Well, we are just in the fact that the social service agencies that are on the Opioid Coalition really are doing that. That 2-day training that involves parents and I believe teens. And that's going to be, I think, at the Rocky Hill Sheridan coming up here in May.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Any questions? Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thanks for all the hard work. Okay. We're going to go back up to old business. C, discussion possible action, Girls with Impact mini program MOU.
Okay. The last time we discussed this, we were waiting to do some revisions on the MOU, which you have in your package. The only outstanding item in the MOU are the start and finish dates. That has not been nailed down yet, but that won't affect any other part of that document.
Thank you, Ms. Gilbert. Okay.
I hope you weren't recording the game.
I didn't need to know that. But
Sorry, Ray, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That was far more important.
Yeah.
So I would just, my recommendation would be to approve me executing the document as is, and when we nail down the start and finish dates, we just plug them in.
Okay.
If
Are there any
that's
questions?
appropriate.
Ray, just I guess the only question, I thought there was a finish date, July 1, 24?
Yeah.
So it's
But
just,
the classes they're running now, and it's just a matter of us picking
Okay.
which 10 weeks we can fill in.
yeah, so between now and
Mhm.
7/1, it's like a fiscal year.
Mhm,
Yeah, okay.
mhm. But if we have to, we can extend beyond that, but we probably wouldn't want to because school's going to be out. And
Gotcha.
It'd probably be finished well before that. I think.
All right, so we'll make a motion.
Bear with me a second. I'll make a motion to approve the Girls with Impact mini program MOU.
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Now I have wonderful news for you. There is no executive session this evening. That's being postponed.
That is correct.
Okay. So we're going to go on to the mayor's report. So as Councilor Prakash mentioned, we have the Education Foundation fundraiser coming up, so I know that they can definitely use some student volunteers. So parents, if you want to get your high schoolers involved, it's a great opportunity. They can work a few hours, volunteer their time, and learn how to run concessions and vending and all of that. And they'll get community service hours, which I know many of our high schoolers need. As Councilor Levine mentioned, Representative Wood and I are collaborating to bring the first annual State of the Town breakfast on March 7th. It'll be from 8 to 9 a.m. We'll start doing some official announcements of that. We have been going and speaking with different businesses in town who have graciously offered to sponsor the breakfast. And it is open to all Rocky Hill residents and all of our businesses here. It's absolutely free. It's going to be a wonderful collaboration where you can hear, it's just 1 hour, so it's going to be quick because we have a lot of people on the agenda, but you'll hear from the town manager, you'll hear from department heads, a representative from the school district, the Middlesex County Chamber of Commerce, from lawmakers, and from myself, and then we will end with a question and answer time. CCM's number one priority on this legislative session is to help recruit and retain fire, police, and ambulance, and that is a topic that we hear about frequently, particularly with, as we heard, the fire department actively recruiting members currently. Two more things. So on March 8th, which happens to be International Women's Day, where we will have our quarterly Mayor's Spotlight Live at the Community Center as part of the senior lunch. We generally start about 12:30 for that. Our Rocky Hill Division meeting is tomorrow with local businesses. And oh, and then one more thing. I'm really excited to tell you that we are in the planning stages to host our first annual Juneteenth celebration. That's going to be actually on the Juneteenth holiday, which Rocky Hill is recognizing officially for the first time this year. It's going to be Wednesday, June 19th, and I want to say from 12 to 4. So stay tuned for more information about that and how you can get involved. And that's it. I'll turn it over to the town manager.
Ambulance.
Okay. Excuse me. A few items. First of all, Providence and Worcester Railroad, they've submitted their 2004 vegetation control program. They're required to make sure that their tracks, their right-of-ways, their rights-of-ways are clear of vegetation that might interfere with their operations. So they have provided a multi-page plan for application of their herbicides along the rail line, and they plan to start after May 1st. That's the best I can get from them right now as far as the start date. Again, state of the town, I don't need to go over that. Many departments will hopefully be participating. I just want to publicly say thank you to our emergency personnel who responded swiftly and professionally during and after and before the recent February 13th snowstorm. That would include the Highway Department, Parks and Rec crew, Phil's facilities people. We are submitting a grant application for a new minibus for our seniors and individuals with disabilities under the state 5310 grant program. It's a federal grant. Town is responsible for 20% of the cost, so our share will be approximately $45,000. And our new town treasurer, senior accountant, started today. So we're very excited about that, to give our finance director some state-of-the-art expertise, assistance in her daily work duty. So hopefully she won't have to work until 10 p.m. every day. And then the next Meet the Department will be March 4th. With the police department, highway and garage, and parks and rec, and we're thinking if we can get the ambulance to come in, and maybe we can get a presentation from them also. Oh, and two more items came in at the last minute. The pickleball court proposal will be on the Planning and Zoning Commission agenda tomorrow. Very exciting. And the Memorial Day Parade committee is looking for volunteers. The parade is will be May 27th from 9:30, meeting at the Rocky Hill High School, and they need some volunteers to assist them that day. Anyone interested in assisting and helping out on that day, it's fun. It's a lot of work, but it's also fun. You can contact Rita in the Parks and Rec Department. Phone number 860-258-2772, or at her email address is rchhabra@rockyhillct.gov. That concludes my report for tonight, unless you have questions.
On that new minibus, Ray, I see we're 20%, but 20% would be 32,000 on that cost to us, and you say we're at 45,000.
Yeah, I got my figures from our finance director.
Oh,
That's a total.
not the new one. Okay.
I apologize for that.
No problem. So it must be 205.
It's a 205.
I got it.
Theirs is 160, ours is 45.
Yeah,
She did calculate that, right?
okay.
Yeah, it was interpreted
Yeah,
incorrectly.
I don't know if we keep going with that math.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.